Hi guys, and I'm your host Annalese from bitsandtokens.com. On today's episode, we'll be doing a fundamental analysis. A fundamental analysis is a method of evaluating the intrinsic value of a coin. It studies anything that can affect the value of a coin. The end goal of fundamental analysis is to produce a quantitative value that a trader can compare the current price of a coin to. This determines whether a coin is under its value or over its value. Let's take a look at the ICO Typerium and create a fundamental analysis on them. Alright, so here we are at our homepage of the Typerium ICO. So I went ahead and read their white pages and looked into basically what the company is about. This is something you want to do during a fundamental analysis when you are deciding whether or not you want to invest into one of these ICOs or any coin at that. Coins don't really have a meaningless purpose. Every coin has a purpose and a meaning behind it. So that is something you want to look into. Reason being, you do want to make sure that this is a coin that is going to prosper. It is something that you believe in. It's a product that seems reliable. It's a product that you find that it's worth your investment, just like any stock on the regular market. So we're going to look at the coin distribution first. So right off the bat, we see that 50% of the token sale is going to be going to the consumer. So that would be like you, me, traders, investors, etc., etc. Which means that the other 50% is going to be stored somewhere else off the market, mostly with the company. We see that some of them is going to go to the reserve, team, ecosystem, some to the foundation, so on and so forth. So based on these numbers right here, we see that the company technically has a very large share, half to be exact, of the coin being distributed, which means they also have, if they wanted to, influence on the market. So this is something you need to take into consideration for the purposes of inflation. So when you have a coin, inflation is a very important factor. If there is too much of a coin that's on the market, this causes the value of your coin to decrease. And it's not going to show its true value, and it's going to be undervalued for that reason. So this company having 50% of the market share, in addition to, coins that are not sold by the end of the ICO will be burned. So we see this 50% decrease right away, which means the company would then technically have more part of the shares of the coins because of leftover coins being burned. So let's take a look at the presale details and token details. So here we see that the presale starts May 21st, 2018 and goes until June 25th, 2018. We see that they're going to sell 300 million type coins. They're going to have a total of 5 rounds for the presale. With the round 1 starting at the 1 cent. I believe round 2 is 2 cents, round 3 is 3 cents, round 4 is 4 cents, and round 5 is 5 cents. So that's going to be the presale. There's also a bonus round here that goes in ascending order. We see here that they're going to be doing it in Ether. So you need to buy your coins in Ether. And it does say here, this is something very important to look at because we did do an ICO recently and it took a while to get our coins. So it says the token delivery date can take up to 30 days. And that does say it for both the pre-sale and the regular token sale. Something very important to keep in mind. I'm assuming because of probably transaction rate and fees, they're probably going to take their time on doing this rather than getting it transacted to individuals right away. So for the regular token sale, this goes from June 26, 2018 to July 23rd, 2018, and they're going to sell 700 million type coins. So you can see here based off this 700 million and this 300 million that there is a total of 1 billion coins being put on the market, which means that they're going to make a total of 2 billion coins because the market is going to be cut in half by the company, half by the consumer. If you look right here, total supply / token sale, there's that 2 billion, that 1 billion that we see here. And we see that the blockchain they're going to use are ERC20 wallets, which is where you're probably going to use to store your coins, and Ethereum to buy your coins. So let's take a scroll down. Here we see what I talked about earlier, the rounds and the pricing for the presale. And here's an investor breakdown. So with the investor breakdown, there's a couple things in here. First, right off the bat, you see that US and China cannot participate in the token sale. Go figure. And the token sale, like I said, tokens are not sold, will be burned. Basically what that means is that they send it off to somewhere where these tokens are never seen again. We also see that they have a hard and a soft cap. So essentially what that is, since there is no market cap, because these coins are not listed on an exchange and they technically have no market yet, this is how much the company would basically anticipate on making off the sale of the coin. They can, make anywhere between $2 and $40 million, basically. So that's something that you can kind of get a gist of how much this ICO intends on making and how they intend to fund their product and how much they would be getting out there. So as we scroll down, we see here the coin distribution. So basically 40% of the market share that they make, not market share, but the ICO funding that they make would be going to development. 30% would be going to marketing and acquisitions. 20% would be going to operations, and 4% would be going to contingency. 4% would be going to legal, and 3% going to foundation. So what exactly is Typerium? And why are we looking into it? So this is something else that you need to look into. Again, very good thing to read the white pages. It basically breaks down everything that the site has, but in more detail. So essentially what Typerium wants to be is they want to be a digital marketing media company that has faster contracting, payouts, has an integration of social media, and has things like a blockchain where you can trade your tokens. So, I decided to break this up into sections, because they do have 4 categories that they want to base themselves off, and we'll just go over that. So, software. So, in order to, I guess you could say, make an effective fundamental analysis, is you need to compare these sections to other things that already exist or anticipating existing, like maybe other ICOs or, other market companies, whatever the case may be. So in terms of the created software. So for their software, these are things that we need to look into, like Adobe and Photoshop, because they want to make a creator software where you can create your content and use your content on their digital marketplace. So there we see some competitions with already existing companies that we need to take in consideration. Next, we have the marketplace. They want to do faster payouts, higher commission, and more transparency. With the marketplace, I want to compare this to probably YouTube. So we see that YouTube is a digital software where you can upload videos and things like that. And how YouTube does its contracting and, how they do their payouts would vary from this marketplace because, 1, you'd be getting paid out in most likely crypto. 2, your commission, again, would probably be higher. Maybe, I'm not sure how much YouTube takes for cuts and shares, if they do take cuts and shares, but, they're claiming to have, higher amounts that are paid out to whoever's their merchants or consumers. And then you have your more transparency. So these are things that you can compare to kind of like other companies that already exist, again, like YouTube. Next, we have our social media. So for social media, of course, once you think of social media, you immediately think of Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, etc., etc. So this is another thing you want to take into consideration. Who is a drive for social media? What makes them have social media content that you want to go to their app or platform versus another one. For me, this more social media probably kind of relates more to kind of like a LinkedIn because it would be more of a professional setting for merchants and things like that, possibly. It could also be something that, would be attracted to like the outside world. Like you have, for instance, YouTube again, let's bring that one up. You have your social media where I guess you could say your bloggers, that's their social media where they post the videos and you as a consumer watch. And then of course they would get paid. Kind of like that, kind of like a rotating cycle. So that's also something to look into. And lastly, we have our integrated ecosystem. So essentially what the integrated ecosystem is again, they want to have the blockchain technology to have facilitate transactions. So something to compare this to would probably be an exchange, probably like Binance, where they transact these coins and they have, some method of fee when you do transact your coins. They also want to make this, a faster system when you do your transactions, which is also something that's actually a plus in this industry because it does take a while, like about half an hour or so when you do transfer coins. So having a faster integrated system could definitely benefit the company in terms of driving demand, as well as having lower having lower interest rates when you do the transaction of the coins. That's also something that is, to be taken into consideration because, of course, who's not going to want to go to the app or website that has lower transaction rates? So essentially, we see that if we break up the 4 concepts of this company individually, there is individual competition. But as of right now, there's no direct competition as a whole on the company because there's not something out there that does, all 4 implementations, which is something that I can see Typerium driving a high demand for since, depending on how they design it and depending on how it comes out, it could drive a high demand if it is a successful product. Based on what I see so far, it is a pretty good idea. Here we see their design, and next thing is their team members. So looking at who runs these ICOs is also something that's very, very important. Reason being, you don't know who these people are and what they want your money for. Again, scams are a thing. So it's definitely something that you want to assure yourself. Sometimes I've seen ICO pages where they have the LinkedIn and stuff attached, and these people you can tell they're made up, really. Like, it's, the work is done pretty sloppy because they're just stitching things together, but a lot of people don't pay attention, which is why they end up getting scammed and losing monies, and some ICOs have gone away with millions of dollars. So you do need to be careful. So I went ahead and looked into everyone, of course. And right off the bat, you see that everyone has their LinkedIn page attached to basically their picture. When you click on it, it gives you kind of like a brief description of what they do and what they did. You can also click on their LinkedIn and it'll take you to each individual's webpage. So based on my research, I did look into everyone's background, see what they've done in the past, see where they've gone. And for the most part, these people do have roles in society. Some of these individuals have their own companies on the side, web pages. In addition to that, you can see that they have social forums online like Reddit, and they're active in the community. Another thing that we went ahead and did is we reached out to the ICO to see if they would respond, which they did in several occasions, actually. We've held several conversations with them. So as of right now, I do see that they're a reliable group of individuals that do take integrity in their work, as far as I can see. They were quick to respond. There wasn't even, very long of a wait time. Compared to our KYC legal that we did, a couple weeks ago for our 3rd episode, that didn't really have a response when we reached out to them. We did get our coins, thankfully, but, it is something that, kind of grabs an individual's attention when these companies have, a relationship with you, because that now makes you enable more trust in them and also, kind of believe in their beliefs, believe in their company, and ultimately it leads you to invest. So another thing I looked into is that they had claimed that they affiliate themselves with a lot of world-leading brands. For example, Google, Pepsi, Sony, Nike, Starbucks, stuff like that. So when I looked into these individuals' backgrounds, a lot of them have affiliated themselves with these companies. Reason being, these are professionals. Some of these individuals are, computer engineers, graphic designers, et cetera, et cetera. So these companies, when they do marketing, they need things like that. When they do programs, they need things like that. They need those jobs filled. So by having these professional jobs in the field, they have been able to network with these companies. So they do have these companies on a back burner for them. If their product is successful, they could possibly have one of these companies, try their product or use their product. I definitely think that, maybe if like Google looks into them or something and uses them for some sort of platform, or, even, I don't know, I'm not sure what Disney would do, but who knows? Anything is possible. Digital content on there. Anything is possible. So anything is possible with any of these companies, really, depending on how they plan to, advertise and market and sell their digital content through the merchants to consumers. So I do think because they have, connections and networks through these companies, that is something that gives them more of a leadway than other ICOs that don't have any, big companies that are standing behind them, or they don't know anyone, or they don't have any networks. So that is something also to take into consideration. All right, so here we just have some things regarding the CEO and questions. Now we have our roadmap. So another thing you want to look into, most ICOs have a roadmap, which means they have deadlines by when they want to meet, any goal they have. So let's kind of fast forward to 2018. So here we see that they had their white papers completed, which obviously they have their white papers completed in the first quarter. Then they did their website launch, which of course we're on their website, it's up. And then in the third and second quarter, they want to do their pre-sale, which, of course, considering the dates, technically starting this month in May, and the last coin will be sold in July. That would be the second to third quarter. So as of right now, they're on track. And this is something you want to keep up with them and make sure that they stay on track, make sure that they're keeping up with what they're saying. Because sometimes what happens when you kind of lose track of an ICO, after, the ICO is closed and, the company is kind of in the process of starting up, there are things that happen. But keeping these companies, even sending them an email and say hey, what are you guys doing, or whatever, and keeping them accountable for what they're doing, is something you want to always look into. Because again, if you're investing into these companies, you want to make sure that you are getting the best deal, and the company that you have is going to drive some demand. Always, your investing needs to drive demand, because if it doesn't drive demand, you're investing in a failed product. You don't want to do that. So the rest of this page consists of things that are learning, how you can connect with them, frequently asked questions, etc., etc. So based off this ICO, fundamentally looking at it, and based off what we've done in terms of reaching out and talking to these people and looking into their backgrounds, as well as seeing how their reliability and accountability has held up to current date and time, we do see this ICO being a demand in the market, especially again, if they don't end up selling that whole 50% of coins out there, that 1 billion, that could drive some demand, because now there's more limited amount already that there was a limit. So now you have less of your limit. In addition to, the company now technically owns a higher share of that 50%. All of a sudden, the 20% that was in reserve now becomes 30%, just because of the way the market is shared. Oops. Okay. Also, we do find this ICO reliable because of the way they presented. White pages is always something very, very, very important to look into when you are investing into a company. Again, you want to know their product, you want to know their demand, you want to know that your investment is going to prosper and at some point grow. That's the point of investing into these companies. Believing in the product and having something that's worth your value. You invest into these companies, you want to make sure you have something back after your investment. Their web pages, of course, seem legitimate. Some web pages I've seen slapped together in 30 seconds, not even worth looking at. Again, the individuals are reliable. Everything about this ICO kind of just gives us a green light, just because of responses between people and what their product is, driven to sell. It basically has a pretty good demand in our opinion. So that's all for this fundamental analysis on our ICO for Typerium. If you guys have any questions or you want to know more information about fundamental analysis and possibly see another fundamental analysis on a different ICO or anything like that, definitely drop down a comment below in the comment section, and I will definitely look to see what we can do. And I'll see you guys next time on Bits and Tokens.